Hello, everybody. My name's Katy with Living Greenland, and I have a guest that I'm got to come and sit with me, and we're going to talk about her. Her name is Becca with Becca and Friends, and I would like to introduce her. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, Katy. I don't know where to start, actually, to be honest with you. I'm a quilter, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, I'm a mother, I'm all of the things. But I think where most of your audience probably knows me from is my YouTube channel.
Okay. How old were you when you first started sewing, or did you start sewing when you were an adult?
Yeah, so that's actually a common question I get. One of the interesting things about me is my family isn't a long line of quilters. I have an aunt who I remember making quilts when I was younger, but that was really it. I've always liked to craft and be creative, and I've dabbled with other mediums like scrapbooking and beadwork and things of that nature. And I never thought I would ever sew. People would ask me to sew, and I'd be like, yeah, no, I don't think so. Something about needle and thread just intimidated me. But a few years ago, several years ago, I guess now, it was before the pandemic. I think it was like 2018, 2017, right around there. A friend of mine was trying to teach some of her friends how to sew. And she had what she called a sip and sew. You brought your beverage of choice, whether it was a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, and you came to her home and she would teach you a small sewing project on one of her machines with all of her materials. It only took one session and I was completely hooked.
Um, when did you start learning how to quilt piece, and who influenced you to start it?
Shortly after I had started sewing some little odds and ends with my friend, my mom had asked me to help her make blankets for all of the grandchildren for Christmas. And so we grabbed a Disney panel and a yard of fabric for the back. And I didn't know anything about quilting at the time, but I knew that a blanket had to have a front, a back, and something in the middle. And so that's what we did. We put three layers together like you would a pillowcase, and then we turned it out. And then mom said, well, you got to do something to hold the layers together. It would be really cool if you could stitch around the outlines of all of those characters on the panels. So at my little brother machine that I got from Costco with the feed dogs completely up, that's exactly what I did. I had no clue that there was a whole world out there for this. I dabbled with that a little bit. I made a rag quilt. I tried to piece together a patchwork type quilt that was autism specialized. And what I found is when I was working on these smaller quilts or these smaller blocks, these smaller pieces, it was much easier for me to work. You see, before that, I had been playing a little bit with clothing. I am not a seamstress. I am not a garment maker, but that's where I felt like my sewing skill was going to be most useful, is to be able to make clothing. And you're working with big pieces of fabric right off of the bat to
Yeah, you
make a
are.
shirt. Yeah. That was really difficult for me because I had a very small space. My sewing machine was sitting on a tiny desk that was about 24 inches wide that I had gotten from IKEA. So every time I wanted to sew, I had to put the machine on the table. And then when I needed to cut, I had to take that down and put a cutting board up. And then when I needed to iron, I had to take that down and put that up. So I wanted to work on something with smaller pieces. And that's kind of where the quilt piecing appealed to me. I could work with smaller pieces. Once I decided I wanted to do quilting, I took a class at my local quilt shop and I just ran from there.
That's pretty cool. When I was a teenager, I learned how to make my own dresses and
Oh.
skirts. So, you use scissors and you use a table to cut things out. And when I first started this, I didn't even know what the heck a rotary cutter was. So it's pretty interesting to hear your take of when you started sewing.
Yeah, I
Did you,
did not want to do anything with scissors. And I will
yeah.
say, I did make the last time I made a garment, I was so proud of myself because there is a sewing store nearby where I lived that specialized in apparel garment, like apparel fabrics and
Yeah.
garment making. So I went in and I picked out this really luxurious, beautiful blue fabric, and I got a pattern for like an A-line dress for my daughter. and I cut it out at the store because you could rent time in their workshop. I cut it out in the store with their help. I sat down at the Bernina that they assigned to me for the day, and I sewed that dress together, and I brought it home, and it was like 1/8 of an inch too small in the bodice.
Oh no,
So while
Lord.
it was A-line, so it fit down through here, but in the shoulders, it was really tight on my daughter. So I put it on her once and she refused to wear it. And it was at that point that I realized, in the world of quilting, if my blocks are off 1/4 of an inch, the quilt might not look great, but it can still make you warm.
Yes, indeed. Uh, what was I going to say? Back then, when I was a teenager, it was cheaper to go up to they had huge fabric shops, just like you see with quilt shops. And you can walk in there and find every kind of fabric there is out there. And it was cheaper to make your own dresses than to go like to Cato's and pay $50 for a dress when you can make one for 15 for the same beautiful dress. So that's why I made a lot of my clothes as a teenager. Besides what you have already mentioned, did you have any other hobbies during that time?
Actually, no, because, oh gosh, this gets into a whole story that I don't even really think I've talked about. I had been doing beadwork before. However, and I had a whole room with all my beads in it. It was great. And I don't really wear a lot of jewelry. I wear a pair
Yeah.
of earrings, usually a necklace and my wedding bands, but it's summer, my hands are swelling, so I haven't been wearing those past couple months. But I don't wear a lot of jewelry, especially costume jewelry, because I'm
Mhm.
allergic to nickel. Also, my sister, she and her husband had gotten a divorce and she needed a place to kind of get back on her feet. And so she moved in with us. And that was a lot of people living in a very small house. So I
Yeah.
packed up all of my beadwork, all of my crafting supplies, and put it away because I was in school full time. I was going to work full time. I had a newborn in the home. My sister was living with us. I just didn't have time to do anything like that. So I just kind of put everything away. And in 2017, I had just finished college. Zoe was a little bit older. She was 7. My sister wasn't living with us anymore. And I had some free time on my hands. So I was looking for a hobby. And it just happened that my friend was trying to teach people how to sew.
That's outstanding. Um, did you start your YouTube channel at the same time you had started learning how to make quilts, or was it afterwards?
Um, did I start my YouTube channel at the same time? Well, that depends on how you define did you start your YouTube channel. So one, I went to my friend's house. She taught me how to sew. We did a couple of things, and some of the things that I learned in home ec back in 7th grade came flooding back, but not enough. The next day, I went out and bought my own sewing machine, but I was so worried that I was going to not know how to wind a bobbin or thread a needle or change the needle. And she was telling me all these things. I was terrified I was going to mess it up. Well, one of the things that makes me who I am, I love to teach. I love to share what I've learned with other people. And sometimes I think I could probably be a little obnoxious about that, especially in real life, because I get excited about something I've learned and I want to tell everybody. So I had it in my head 2 things. Number one, I was going to teach all of my family and friends how to sew. And so I made a video showing how to change the needle on my brother machine. And in my head, I was going to make a whole series of videos about how to care for the machine and things that I was learning. As I was learning stuff, I was going to make a video and show people what I
Right.
learned, not to brag, but just to be excited about it and to put it out there. I never made those other videos. I did upload the one, I think in 2017. I had intentions of doing more, but I didn't know where to start. So I just kind of sat on it. And I came back a year later or a year and a half later, something like that. And the video had like 20,000 views. My channel had one video, one
Video.
video, one video. So I was like, okay, well, people do want to watch this video.
Yeah.
They are looking for this. Well, this was back in the day where, YouTube really wasn't so much an entertainment. It was a how to, it was
Yep.
question and answer, it was learning, YouTube University, right? Anything you want. I only knew YouTube in 2 senses, well, 3 senses, either viral videos, right? Family videos, little videos that you wanted to upload somewhere so that your family could see them, or how to fix your water pressure, how to change the needle in your machine, how to whatever. So I didn't know where I really fit in there. I didn't feel like I could make a lot of how-to videos because I didn't know as much as the people I was watching. I was
Yeah.
watching Kimberly Jolly at Fat Quarter Shop, Jenny Doan at Missouri Star, Vanessa over at the Crafty Gemini. Those are kind of my top three go-tos. I know there were others mixed in there, but those were names that I was watching constantly. Oh, Sarah Lawson from So Sweetness. I was watching all of them all of the time, and there was no way I could hold a candle to any of their knowledge. So I kind of got intimidated by that. But I did see some content creators doing something that I thought was fun, and I wanted to do it differently. I saw several content creators sharing packages and haul videos and
Yep.
unboxings for things that they are getting. And I found myself going through and watching everybody's video because I wanted a subscription box, but I didn't know how much I wanted to spend. I didn't know which one I wanted to get. And the way I figured was the best way to make a decision was to see what past months you had gotten to see if the value was there. So every month I was watching all of them open the boxes. And then I decided, you know what? If they can do that, then I can do it too. And so I just kind of ripped the Band-Aid and tried. And some of the things I thought would be awesome for my format, and I found out very quickly did not resonate with my audience. So I had to kind of adjust on the fly.
Um, what do you have for future goals for your channel? Do you have any of that
Oh,
kind of in your head?
I, you know, I
Because I've
want to be,
watched you evolve. I've been around here with you since I think maybe 2018 or 2019
yeah.
when you were living in your old house. And uh, I've watched it evolve and I've watched it change over time. And there's some things that I see that I think you're really great at that you should like go there with it. So, do you
Well,
have anything that you've been thinking about?
yeah, actually, I do. And I'll preface that to say that I'm always thinking about things that I can do with my channel. My goal is how do I really want the plaque. I want the 100,000 subscriber
You
plaque.
know, don't we
I do
all?
want that. I just feel like I will have arrived when I have that plaque.
Yep.
However, what YouTube is for me right now is not what it is for maybe everybody else.
Right.
YouTube is a way to help get my foot in the door in the industry so that when I retire from my 9 to 5 job, I have a second career that I can go to. And I've got about 14, 13 years before retirement. So I've got time. I
Yep.
get to play the slow game here. I don't have to go all in on day one. That said, I really like making the videos and I like sewing and I like sharing the passion with my community and I like growing that community. I'm always thinking about different ways that I can bring content to that channel. And one of the things that I have been doing this year that I really like are these it's a vlog series is what I've been calling it. And so it's not really a vlog because I'm not carrying a camera with me everywhere I go, but
No,
it's
you're
once a
talking about what
week.
you've been doing.
Yeah. Once a week, I sit down and I just tell you a story. Now, sometimes that story might be about a trip I took. It might be about a lesson I learned on a quilt I made. It might be a pattern that I've written and I've dropped. And sometimes it might just be this is what I did last week. This is what I'm doing next week. And that's really all I have for you.
Right.
I really like the storytelling aspect of it. And I want to do more of that. I also have learned, I thought I wanted to get away from some of the unboxings, and I think I do want to pare that down. But what I've learned is because I built my channel kind of around those unboxings a little bit, people do expect that type of content
Right.
from me. And it does help my channel in the algorithm. So I'm not going to get rid of those entirely, but I'm going to switch them up. I'm not going to have the same box every single month, right? I might have the same box for 6 months or 3 months or whatever, but I don't want to get into a rut. The one thing that I'm really trying to figure out right now is how do I bring teaching videos back to YouTube? I have a passion for teaching. I feel like I do it well. I have a background in it and I get excited about it, but I have to have the right project to teach. So what I've got in the back of my brain, and you're kind of hearing this first. So everybody in your channel is kind of getting this before I've even shared it on my channel. In the hopefully near future, and I'm thinking like 2024, I'm planning to design and write a block of the month that will be my pattern, and I will have videos to go along with that. I have an idea for what that quilt's going to look like. I've already kind of got it designed, but I need to finish writing the pattern and test it out. And I want to do all of that before I get to January. And then, of course, in talking through what all that looks like, there becomes conversation about, well, okay, the pattern's there, but what about kits? Would you offer fabric kits and all this other stuff? So it becomes a monster. Don't have any answers on that yet, but I want to do more sew-alongs. I want to teach those sew-alongs, but I want to pick the project that is unique to my channel and not one that everybody else is doing.
Well, you could approach it from the aspect of KISS. You probably know what that means. Keep it
Keep
simple.
it simple, stupid.
That's right. So to start with, you can keep it as simple as it needs to be. And,
Yep.
you know, people can do their learning through their stash. Personally,
Yeah.
I like working from my stash instead of buying a kit. And it's funny that you should bring up your teaching, because I think a lot of us would love to see you start teaching quilting skills as a virtual class. Have you given any more thought about pursuing that part? Because this is one of your class
It was.
that you did, and you are super really good about it. And I can tell you why I think you're good about it. Not only are you teaching skills, but you were making sure nobody fell behind during the whole process of the class. And to me, that makes a good teacher, because a teacher who keeps everybody involved and doesn't let anybody fall through the cracks is a better teacher than somebody who speeds through teaching and leaves people behind who are left feeling frustrated, because we all learn different. And like for example, I'm a visual hands-on learner. So reading a pattern and understanding certain aspects of it, I find difficult at times. But when I see when somebody walks you through, well, this is how you do this, and you're seeing it, you're hearing it, and you're also going along doing it with your own, with your own hands, that's a great way to learn. So I think that you're pretty impressive myself.
Thank you. I have been, as you know, because you've attended all of them, I've taught a couple of classes for So Yeah, and I do have plans to teach more for them. The struggle right now is just summer months for me are crazy busy. I have just gotten back from a trip and I have enough time to relax, get things organized, and then I'm hosting a retreat this weekend for our VIP membership. So I haven't had time to do any of that yet. Teaching a class does take time to prepare. I do plan to reach out to So Yeah to get another one on the books there. The So Yeah classes are nice because they're free for you. I get a little bit of money in my pocket for teaching, but also I get a resume builder that shows that I taught a class for another quilt shop. And because they're a quilt shop, I can give them the pattern, pick the pattern, write the pattern, whatever the pattern is going to be. I can identify the project and give it to them. And then they can create kits that you can sell if you don't have the supplies, or maybe you just don't want to pull from your stash. So it's almost a win-win-win all the way around. You get a free class, I get the resume experience plus a little bit of money in my pocket, and then they get the ability to sell more products. So all the way around, I think it's a win. In the future, I would like to find ways to expand that, and I don't know what that looks like right now.
I think you
think
should
my
have
two ways.
virtual classes that we can pay for. I mean, we could take a poll and see what kind of feedback we would get on a poll.
Well, the problem with that isn't necessarily that it's a bad idea. It's probably a great idea, and I probably could do it. I do have the skills, but it's just like I talked about in my Tuesday video from this week. It's not a matter of whether I can. It's a matter of what my priorities are, because I only have so many hours in a day. So while that might be a great idea, in order to execute that, I have to let something else go. And I don't know what that something else is right now. So maybe down the road, when I have more bandwidth or more time, or I'm ready to make a change and switch to my own hosted class, maybe that would be great. Right now, my methods for teaching, I think for at least the short term, would be some more classes with So Yeah, just at least for a little while. We'll see how that goes. And then teaching on YouTube. 2024, 2025, maybe there are some other avenues that I'll try, but for right now, that's kind of what my priorities are.
Um, how I came about finding you was through Yvette.
Yeah.
She was talking about cotton cuts. She was doing an unboxing of classic box, but she was also talking about the PMQ program through cotton cuts. And she happened to mention you know, that about you, and that you also were getting, I think, one of those. Not sure which one, but
A lot of them.
I came to your channel because I was curious, and and I'm like, oh, I like this person. She's pretty cool. So my question is how did you become a puzzle mystery ambassador?
Oh my goodness. Gosh, that was years ago. Okay. So Yvette had been doing the puzzle mystery quilt clues or the puzzle mystery quilts. And I don't believe at that time that they even had an ambassador. No, I lie. They did have an ambassador program because she did have a code that she would give out if you want to sign up for their program, the cotton cuts. And I remember watching her and this other lady, Ranger K. Her name was Kristen, but her channel was Ranger K. She had like 500 subscribers. I remember I watched the two of them with their sew sampler boxes and the cotton cuts boxes and the puzzle mystery quilts. And I thought it would be really cool to try doing this. They did the first one ever, I think. And so the second one, I don't remember what it was called. I think it was the second puzzle mystery quilt I bought for myself to do. And I was really excited because everything was pre-cut. So I got it and I did it. And then the next time, the next one that came out, I think was Stratford. And
Yeah,
I
that
got
was my first one.
yeah, I got two colorways for that one. And this time I was going to do a video for each one. And I just wanted to make them fun videos. I wasn't trying to make them tutorials. I lost track of those and then eventually finished them years later. But when I was doing Stratford, towards the middle of that, I think it was, Cotton Cuts reached out to me because of the content I put on my channel and offered me an ambassadorship. They offered to send me a small puzzle mystery quilt in the colorway of my choice if I would continue making videos for it. And I got really excited about it. At the time, Yvette was also a puzzle mystery quilt ambassador, and she was going to do the large and the small. And she was planning to do recorded and edited videos, and I did not want to step on her toes. And so I took a different road. I decided I wanted to do them as live streams about a week after the clue shipped,
Right.
because I wanted my clue, my video to look different than hers. I wanted to feel different than hers. And that just kind of stuck. I've had a couple of thoughts in the past couple of years. Is the live stream really something I want to continue doing, or do I want to make them edited videos? But I just keep going to the live stream. So that's
A lot
how
of
I got
people
to be
like
an
your live
ambassador and why I do it
streams.
live.
Yeah. Well, a lot of
Yeah.
us like to watch the live streams. I watch yours, and I also watch Ian's. Sometimes I trying to remember if the one I watched was live, though. I don't know. It might not have
With his
been.
puzzle mystery quilts, they're usually edited. His are
Yeah.
edited.
Yeah. But so do you remember what the name of your first one was?
I can't remember. I don't remember, but I do remember that I used I think the fabric was called Palm Canyon, and it was pink and yellow and aqua, and it was Violet Crafts fabric line, I believe, but I don't remember
You don't have
what
it
the
anymore?
no, because
Oh,
my sister has taken every quilt, just about most quilts that I finish, they're usually claimed before I'm done with them. So very few of the quilts that I've made do I actually have for myself. They usually find a forever home outside of my home, either before they're finished or shortly after. And I actually kind of love that because it lets me continue to make and create without feeling like I'm just building up a drawer or a dresser full
yeah.
of quilts.
When I start the carnival, this will be my number 13.
Yeah, okay. So I've done one more than you. If you started with Stratford, I've done one more than you.
Yeah. Because I only did one of the Stratford, and then the next one was Cosmos, I think. And I had,
Oh, wait, you're talking about, okay. No, because they haven't had 13 of them. Sorry, you've done multiple of a single
yeah,
round. So
there's some of the TMQs I did too, while um other times it's been like for 3 times in a row where I only did one each of it. So,
yeah.
there's that. Um, over the last few months, you've been in the process of creating patterns. Do you see that evolving over time as well? And what type of patterns are you most interested in creating?
Patterns that I want to make. Like I don't know how else to answer that. I'm really excited about designing the quilts and the projects and writing patterns for it. One of the things that I felt guilty about or I stressed out about a lot early on in my channel is when I did do instructional videos or sew-alongs or whatever those might be, I didn't have a pattern to give people. And that was a common comment that I would get. Where's the pattern? Where can I get the pattern? Well, there isn't one. I just made it up. Just watch what I'm doing. People want the download. They want the PDF. They want to have a piece of paper or several that they can print off so that they can work on it when they're ready. I want the same thing. So I'm really excited about being able to do that now.
Yeah.
As far as types of quilts, I'm like doing everything. The next pattern that's going to drop is going to be in August. I'm trying to pace myself for this year to have one new pattern a month. So the one that's dropping August on the first Tuesday in August will be the one that we're going to do during the VIP workshop. It's already out there. You've already seen the pattern.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's called Tumbling Blocks. And it just takes some rectangles and some squares and kind of puts together a really fun lap quilt. The one thing that actually there is no one thing. The pattern after it is going to be FPP though.
I would love to see what you make for the FPP because I've kind of gotten a little interested in it, but I don't want to like just step into the thick of it yet.
This
The
one will be
small, simple
easy.
things.
This one will be easy. It will be simple. I don't believe it'll be too intricate, but it is a very modern looking quilt and maybe could also be seen, depending on how you color it, as having a bit of a political influence. It just depends on your own take. I'll tell you the name of it, the working name of it right now is Rainbow X, and that's, you'll just have to tune into my channel
Yeah.
September, October timeframe to see what that looks like.
Is there more you would like to share with us that might be future projects, ideas for us to look forward to?
I don't really think so. I think I'm kind of an open book when it comes to everything that I'm working on. I'm trying just to keep my nose down and focus on creating content that people want to watch while also designing and writing patterns for quilts that people want to make. And if I can under that umbrella make content that teaches, or I can make patterns that expand or force me to grow my skills, then I'm happy to do that too.
Do you have any quilts you would like to show us in this video?
You want to see your quilt? The one you keep asking for a picture of that I've got to mail this weekend?
Yeah, that would be great. I still need the picture, by the way.
Not a problem.
It's for something I'm participating in.
So this is your Sophie quilt, and I'll try to get you a picture tomorrow.
Okay.
Katy took all of her scrap fabric that she got from Soya and made a jelly roll race and sent it to me last year and asked if I would quilt it. And so I put
Look
this
at the
backing on
back.
the back.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So this was a backing that I actually had on my shelves forever. And I remember I walked past this piece of fabric. It was in the remnant bin at my local quilt shop. And I picked it up and I almost bought it and I set it down. I picked it up and almost bought it and set it down. Picked it up and almost bought it and set it down. And then one day I just bought it and brought it home. I was like, what the heck am I going to do with that fabric? Well, when your quilt came in, I knew what the heck I was going to do with that fabric.
Do you know that I cut all of those strips from those mystery packages?
Yeah,
They didn't come in a jelly roll. I cut every one of them.
Very cool. It's a very scrappy quilt. I will tell you, I even bound it with this really pretty orange, which I feel like goes well with
It looks great. I love the backing.
I did an all over loop-de-loop on this, which you can't really see. And I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? We're going to see how long it takes me to quilt this, not counting the time that it took for me to advance and unadvance the quilt. Cause I just floated the whole thing. I didn't baste it. I didn't anything.
Yeah.
And I turned on my GoPro to record it. It took me 15 minutes start to finish to quilt
Wow.
it.
So I must have did good then, huh?
It just
I was a
laid
little
flat.
concerned I had made a mess.
Nope, it was not a mess. It was not a mess. I just wanted to get it done. I wouldn't want to do that to all of my quilts. I probably I just wanted to see how fast. But I
Somebody in
did
somebody in Alaska is going to enjoy it.
well, somebody in Alaska is going to feel very warm from it because as I picked it up, as soon as I picked it up, I was like, oh yeah, this has got 2 layers of bamboo batting in it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nice and warm. I'm like,
That's
ooh,
going
this
to
is
help.
nice.
That will be
Yeah,
great.
yeah, it's great. And I also left it very poofy. I
Yep.
didn't flatten it down a lot because I heard somebody say, and I don't know if this is true, this is just what I heard.
I bet I know
I
what you're
heard
about to
somebody,
say.
yeah, if you don't quilt it densely, then it can hold more, like
Yeah.
it can hold more heat under the
Yeah, I
blanket.
didn't
So,
know that. They say the more you put holes in it, the less warm it is.
oh yeah,
You know, and I noticed with the quilt the friendship quilt that my first quilt actually I finished when I had it quilted, and I hang it up here sometimes for a background, and you can see through the holes, and I'm thinking, gosh, air can pass through that. That can't possibly be all that warm,
yep.
but it'd probably be okay. And, it had cotton batting in it, and um, I think it would be fine in places that's not so cold.
Yeah, and it's actually not holes that are in the fabric. What happens is the point of that needle, this is what I've been told, just passing things through, haven't tested it. But what I've been told happens is the point of that needle goes in between the fibers and just very slightly
Moves it
separates
over.
the fibers. Right. Batiks are densely woven, so it's the holes a little bit more prominent because there's a
Yeah,
denser
that
weave
whole thing
there.
is batiks.
Yep. Yeah. So you're going to notice that more. But once you wash it and dry it, that the fibers will relax a little bit and it'll shrink back up around the thread that you put in there. So
I'm
the
so
whole
scared to wash it.
shit. You're gonna have to wash it at some point.
I know I've got 2 of them that's finished, and I'm like, I'm so worried about washing it and something bad happening in it,
If you used quilt shop quality batiks,
I did.
more than likely it's not going to bleed. I will
And
tell you I pre-wash and I
I'm
don't have a
smart enough. My mom taught me that you don't wash in bright colors or colors that you think might bleed in hot water. You always wash in cold water,
yep.
because bleeding doesn't happen in cold water. And and it's okay to dry in a dryer after that if you want to, or hang it out on the line, but as long as it's not in hot water, it can't set that bleed.
So
Oh,
that's exactly what I do. Every single quilt that I make, none of the fabric is pre-washed. Everything is starched. Well, most of the time I starch. If I'm working with pre-cuts, I don't because they can shrink on you. But all of my quilts are not pre-washed. And then when they're done, I give them a wash myself before I gift them. I
yeah.
give them with the crinkle factor. I actually have a
They look
quilt
pretty. They look like they're antique when you've washed them.
and everybody likes the crinkle factor. I feel like when I gift a quilt, now if it's an art quilt or a wall quilt, I won't wash it. But if it's a quilt I want someone to use, I will wash it because I feel like that gives them permission to actually use it and wash it.
Yep.
And every quilt I make, all of our laundry, actually, we do everything in cold water. So I haven't had any problems with bleeding.
Yeah, I only use hot water for sheets and towels, and that's it.
Well,
You know,
yeah,
I,
sheets and towels.
I used to make wraparound jean skirts, and denim is super good about bleeding. But when you wash it in cold water, it doesn't bleed. It
Yep.
never does.
Yep.
We're about to run out of time. Um, Anything else you want to tell us?
I don't have anything else. Are there any other questions that you want to ask?
I don't, not at the moment, but yeah, I think we covered most everything I wanted to ask you about. Um, I think you're a fantastic creator. I'm just
Oh,
saying.
thank you.
And, I hope you keep on doing this because you put a lot out there that helps a lot of us learn.
Well, I'm glad to build the community that I have. I'm happy to see it continue to grow. And I'm happy to see those that are in my community that have always said, I want to create a YouTube channel or I want to do this. I'm happy to see them, just like you, be inspired enough to try. So congratulations on starting your channel, and I
Thank
hope you
you.
continue to grow.
It's scary doing it. I mean, it took me, you and I had talked about it a long time ago. And then we talked about it again, and then we talked about it again, and I still didn't pull the trigger. And then I got, I don't know, something happened this year. I have this burning desire to write and get
Mm-hmm.
all my videos up, because we have 11 years worth of videos here in Greenland. And
Mm-hmm.
I have 11,000 photos on Flickr that I have taken.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to get all this done so that if something were to happen to me, my children would have that legacy, because that's one of the legacies I can leave behind to them. That
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and something beautiful has happened over the last 2 or 3 months. My youngest daughter has taken up gardening.
Oh,
OMG. Finally, one of them, because that's my superpower.
yeah.
Been doing it for 50 years.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes it wears off on other people because mom's starting to quilt now. So, like, okay, finally, you
I'm
listen.
just happy to see her sewing. It's wonderful. Kudos
Yep.
for you.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Okay, so thank you for coming and talking to me, and I hope everybody will watch the video, and I hope y'all enjoy it, and thank you for coming on to do this with me.
No problem, Katie. I'll talk to you later.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.